Do so. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Well, I just read your long list of divine compliments upon this planet from one teacher to another. All I want to say is thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your tenacity and your persistence and your integrity and your wisdom that you've shared for all of these years. It's just been fantastic. It's just been fantastic. So we're going to ask you some question, Echo. Is that okay?
Gosh.
I was just telling everybody that I read your long list of accomplishments, and I do that because I don't do that for everybody. I really don't, tell you the truth. I do that for you because Jesus, as I said to everybody, I don't know when we first met, but I said, Echo is so real. That's what I love about her.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Yes, you're so real.
Yep.
So here are a couple of questions, and you can answer them to your best ability or even say pass.
Okay, first, can I just say hi to everybody? Because it's
absolutely.
so cool. All these, yes. I just think it's so cool. Look at all these people. I love it. Hi, everybody. Oh, you're all muted. Oh, how sweet. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Okay, Janice, back to you. Sorry. Had to
That's
do that.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. I told them a little bit about how you got started when you were 17 years old and kind of realized that your gifts were at 17. One of the things we talked about the most is what, for all of your accomplishments that you have done, where have you gotten your tenacity and your persistence to keep on going? Because a lot of people get scared, but you and I have not.
It's a really good question. Nobody has ever asked me that before. Honey, I think it's my intuition. It just keeps pushing, And trying to think what else it could be other than just knowing that this was what I came here to do. And, there were times when financially things were really bleak. And I just thought, are you kidding me? Is this the way it's supposed to be? And yet, on the 11th hour, something would always happen financially, and I would be okay again for a little while. And then I'd hit another rough patch on the road. And again, I'd say to God, to the universe, whatever you want to call it, I'd just say, are you sure this is what I'm supposed to be doing? I mean, do you know how hard this is? And something would happen again. And all right, I'll keep going. One of the coolest stories. Can I tell a quick story?
Absolutely.
Well, I think it'll be quick. I'm not sure. And some of you may have heard this story. But this was so cool. It was back in 1980. And I used to be a barber, and I had a really successful business. And then the universe said, okay, Echo, it's time to come out of the closet and tell the world what you really do. And, oh, man, that first year was rough. And, no, you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm trying to think how long I went through that. But it was October 1980, and the day before, I had really just come through a really rough patch where I was eating peanut butter sandwiches every day, or driving over to my mom's to have dinner there. It was like there was just no money. Oh my gosh. And I couldn't believe that this would be my path, to be so broke all the time and just keep doing this stuff. And so I called my mom, and I was crying. And she said, honey, give God 24 hours. And if nothing happens in 24 hours, just go back to cutting hair. Oh, I said, I can do that? She said, yeah, give God a timeline. Okay. So I got off the phone and I stopped crying, and I told God, I said, okay, you got 24 hours. And if nothing happens in 24 hours, then I'm going back to cutting hair, and that's it. with this whole path. And so I think it was 23 hours later, I got a phone call, and she was a reporter from the Star Tribune. And she said, we're doing a story on psychics in the Twin Cities. And someone gave us your name. And she said, can we talk for a while? Okay. And she had said, we're doing a story on several psychics in the Twin Cities. Okay. And so we just talked, about what life is like, and are people afraid of me, and what's the downfall, and what's the best part, blah, blah, blah. And then she said, can I come over tomorrow and bring a photographer with me and take a picture of you? And I said, sure. And I got off the phone. I was so freaked out. First of all, Star Tribune, oh my God, a reporter, oh my God. And so I called Mom and I said, oh my God, I think God just answered my prayer. And so, but I was a nervous wreck. Okay, so the next day she shows up with this photographer, and he sets up all this equipment. And every time I had my face changed shape, he just kept taking picture after picture. And she said to me, my editor wants you to do a reading on me to prove that you're really a psychic. So, oh my God, I got so nervous. And I just thought, okay, all right, just trust. And so I gave her a reading. And then I said, are you doing this with all the psychics? Spending this much time with everybody? And she said, no, after you and I talked on the phone yesterday, I went and told my editor about you, and my editor said, forget about all the other psychics, do the whole feature on her. Mm-hmm. And she said, and because you have integrity, we're not going to do this for a Halloween story. We're going to do this after Halloween. And you guys, I was so blown away. And so it was November 1st, the day after Halloween. And this article came out, and I got a phone call that morning from someone, might have even been my mom, absolutely freaked out. And did you see the paper? And I said, no. And she said, you got to go get it. You got to go get it. You guys, there was a picture of me this big on the variety section of the Star Tribune with a almost full page story about me, my life, blah, blah, blah. And my work took off after that. And I would say within 3 days, I was booked for 9 months in advance. And it was pretty amazing that I gave God 24 hours and I got the call. So, yeah.
So one of the things that you teach a lot, and practically always, because on our last blog talk interview, I don't know all 3 of them, but I said, what would be your 3 tips at this time? And I know that the number 1 you said is follow your intuition. So how do people decipher what their intuition is, what their ego is? Mm-hmm. So, like, some people still struggle with what their driven inner wisdom is telling them to do, and they struggle with that. So how can people kind of decipher between their real intuition, their God stuff?
It takes practice to learn what it is, and it has nothing to do with our head. That's the number 1 thing people need to know and remember, is that it has nothing to do with our head, nothing to do with our ego. It's, for a long time, I just thought it was women's intuition. And I had a mom who raised me according to my intuition, and she would just always point to my stomach and tell me, what does it say in there? And, she started me when I was like 7 years old. And I would think, what does it say in there? It doesn't say anything in there. And she just kept it up. I mean, Janice, she never let up on me. She was always, Echo, what does it say in there? And, I don't know when the aha moment came, but I started to just understand that, oh, that I think that's what yes means. Oh, I think that's what no means. And so for all of us, the first thing we have to start doing is when something is said to us that we have to make a decision about, we immediately go to our gut. We train ourselves to come down here, come down here. And, people have said, well, Echo, I think it's in my heart. And others have said, well, I think it's in my gut. It doesn't matter. It could be in your elbow.
Yeah.
It's an inner, I don't know of anybody that has it in their elbow, but it's an internal knowing. And, um, the key that I have found with intuition is, like women use the word knowing. So we say, like if somebody says, say you're driving and you're trying to figure out, you got lost and you're trying to figure out. When women say, I just know this is what we're supposed to do, okay, that is intuition. When you find yourself saying, well, I think we should go this way, okay, that's thinking, that's your brain. But down here, that's your knowing. And, I studied intuition. I've studied it my whole life, trying to figure out what is this thing. And for a long time, I mean, being raised with my dad, who just thought it was this goofy thing women had, and he would make fun of it. But, even my dad, after a while, started to realize, holy smokes, my mom seemed to know a lot of things, and she always seemed to know the right thing to do. And she would say all the time, because Dad would say to her, well, how do you know we should do that? No, I just know. I just know. And so that's what I strived for, was to know that knowing. And it takes it takes practice. And okay, so then we start to get a sense about, okay, think of it this way. How many times in your life, and I know you guys can think back to this, when you heard yourself saying, I just know I should have done that. I knew I should have done that. I knew I should have made that phone call. I knew I should have gone to that place. I knew. That's our intuition. Men call it their gut. Okay, so men say, well, my gut says this is what we have to do. And women say, I just know this is what we have to do. And it's not based on facts. People so often say to me, well, how do you know that? I just know. I mean, I just know. And that, people have told me that I'm being irresponsible. But so far, it has never proven to be irresponsible to live by the still small voice inside. So first thing we have to do is we have to start training ourselves, retraining to go down here first. And in the beginning, we get quick answers. Yes. And yes feels like a positive feeling. And no feels dead, like nothing, like there's no response at all. And then what we can do, because I talk to my intuition all throughout the day, is we can ask it, okay, are you guiding me right now? And you'll get a feeling of yes. And okay, so you'll get guidance to do something. I'll give you an example. I was working on, I think it was my second book, and the lady that was the editor in my first book, she was just really a wonderful editor, and I wanted to find her. I hadn't talked to her for a while. I wanted her to help me on my second book. And her name was Mary Anderson. And so it's kind of a common name. I thought, oh my God, how am I going to find Mary Anderson? And so I called where she worked. No, she had left. Okay. and they said she married a guy, I think it was like Bob Thompson or something. So I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so now Mary Anderson Thompson. Okay. I couldn't find her anywhere. So I said to my intuition, will you please help me find Mary? And I just felt this kind of kind of feeling. Okay. So on a Sunday morning, and this was probably 2 weeks later, Sunday morning, I'm sitting in bed reading the paper, and I hear Lunds. And I stop, I go, Lunds? Go to Lunds. Go to Lunds? Go to Lunds now. Go to Lunds now? Yes. But I don't want to go to Lunds now. I want to just sit and read the paper. It's Sunday morning. Lunds now. All right. So I have learned to trust it. I hate it when I find myself saying, I knew I was supposed to do that. So got dressed, went to Lunds. I walked into the grocery store and I said to my intuition, all right, where do I go? Dairy. Okay. Go over to the dairy. There's Mary Anderson, right? And it was so cute. She says, you know, you have been on my mind for the last 2 weeks, so strong. And I kept telling myself to give you a call and then I'd forget about it. That's what intuition does, is it answers our questions. And the next part of this whole thing is trusting it and acting on it. And that's where a lot of times, because here's the other thing about intuition that's frustrating, is that it'll say to you, okay, Lunds, and you say to your intuition, why? Never gives an explanation. Just Lunds. Trust me, Lunds. Okay. And every time you never, let's see, how did I hear that recently? Somebody said, intuition, something like short on words. It's very direct, gives you a command or a directive, but never explains to you why. And so that's where a lot of us get frustrated, because we think, well, but it's Sunday morning and I want to stay in bed and I didn't even want to get out of my pajamas today. And why do I have to do this? Not even remembering, because it had been 2 weeks, my plea about Mary Anderson. But the intuition, it basically says, here's what you need to know. Trust me, go do it. Okay. And, honey, it just takes practice, a lot of practice.
So do you consider this inner wisdom, intuition, God?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
Honey, I've come to know that it is the divine part of myself. And everybody has it. There isn't one person on this planet that doesn't have intuition. And even our animals, you can watch our animals. They have that basic instinct about things. So I believe that God took a part of itself and put that in each one of us to give us the guidance that we need. Yeah, I really do.
Mm-hmm. I know that you have a very intimate personal relationship with Jesus. You do, which I love. I love. So at this time, what do you think Jesus is saying about today in the coronavirus stuff that we're having?
Yeah, honey. I think part of the message is just, we have needed to slow down for so long, and we were like tripping over ourselves with commitments and people and expectations. And I just think that Jesus, God, just said, okay, guys, you need a break. I'm going to put you on pause. And I want you to go on pause. And I want you to figure out what's important in your life. And I want you to get rid of all that fluff that you thought was important, but it isn't important anymore. And I want you to look at the people in your life and realize do I get happiness from this person? Or is this person sucking me dry of whatever I've got to give? It's a time of taking inventory, slowing down, taking naps, getting more creative. That's something I've been hearing a lot about in meditations lately, is really guiding people to think of ways to be creative. And I'm hearing, cool ways that people are getting creative about ways to make money. I mean, I love listening to people talk about, oh my gosh, I got this great idea. I don't know where it came from. Um, and also a lot of purging is going on right now. Uh, not just of the things in our home. A lot of people I know are saying, I mentioned to my sister the other day, I said, I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff I'm going to take to Goodwill. And,
I did too.
and I said to her, I think I'm going to do it maybe tomorrow. She goes, Echo, it's not open. I'm like, Goodwill closed? I still have a hard time wrapping my head around all the changes that we're going through, but I think a lot of people are doing that right now. At least that's what I'm hearing from women is, oh, I'm going through everything in this house and I'm clearing it out. And, um, so far, I mean, we hear about all the bad stuff going on the news, but I also hear a lot of good stuff that's happening. And especially, I'm hearing a lot of it, and maybe it's just because I've been talking to a lot of women, but a lot of women are really kind of treasuring this time right now of solitude, and there aren't a whole bunch of people pulling on us. There's just, the usual few, I mean, family members. And it's about taking an inventory and getting rid of what no longer suits us. And, we are, I'll say astrologically, but I think we're all getting to know ourselves in a different way also. So I think it's good. I just got off the phone with someone today who said, she said, I really, I'm not looking forward to this ending at all. And I said, yeah, in a way, I'm not either, just because I don't want to go back to the old rat race that I was just caught up in. And I thought this was how life was supposed to be, is just, you just jump from one thing to the next to the next. And then you get some sleep and you wake up and you do it all over again. And before you know it, you're exhausted, but you don't have time to take a break because you've got too many things to do. And so, oh boy, it is an interesting time, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you an impossible question, but that's something that came over. Like, do you have any scoop or inside information through the guides and through Jesus at all? I know that they don't work on a time continuum, but do you have any idea of how long this is going to take? And maybe that's up to us individually as a collective. Or...
Well, you know what, honey? The other day I was over at my center. I was over there watering the plants. And I was just looking around, it's nice and clean, and and I thought, wow, I wonder when we're going to be open again. And I had a vision of a sign in the front window that said, "We will be open June 19th for our June Orapalooza." And because a lot of the vendors were saying to me, can you have an Orapalooza in May? And my intuition said no. So when I saw that vision, I just kind of stopped. I went to my intuition. I said, really? June 19th, we can have our open house? Yes. And what's also interesting, though, is that, we're hearing on the news that it's going to be worse in the fall than it is right now. And I've asked my intuition about that, and I'm not getting any kind of an answer at all. It's very interesting. It's not a yes, and it's not a no. It's just, Janice, that's the other thing I've noticed, is that people have been asking me timing questions lately.
Yeah.
And the guides are just like, forget about it. don't even try to go there. And I have this one client who, boy, I tell you, she is very, very afraid to make decisions. And so she'll contact me and, well, what do you think we should do with this? And it's always a when question, a timing question. And the guides have even told me, don't even read her because she's not trusting her own intuition. And she's trying to go out and get answers from other people right now. And they said, no, she has to learn how to do this a day at a time. And that's really hard for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
We're so used to living in the future. But that's another thing that's been coming through from the guides is just people are being forced to live in today because none of us, I mean, even the psychics I know, none of us know what's gonna be tomorrow, what's gonna be in the news tomorrow. Well, I'm not gonna get political here, but what's next? We're just not getting the information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, because that was your second tip on when I interviewed you, is the first one was to trust your intuition as much as you can to the T. The second tip was do one day at a time, which is so difficult for
I
many, many
know.
people. But do one day at a time, and then you'll keep your sanity.
Yeah, I know, honey. I mean, that's how we're all keeping our sanity right now is because nobody can plan a trip. Nobody can plan vacations. Nobody can plan school. Nobody can plan anything right now other than what's for dinner and what am I going to do today and who am I going to talk to today. I mean, it's, whoa, we have never lived like this before. So it's forcing us to just focus on today. Like, okay, this is all I got.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the other thing is in my work as a healer, working with a lot of people that were really, really sick, I learned a lot about people who had, oh gosh, it's kind of sad really, but people who hadn't taken vacations, had saved all of their adult life saved for when they retired. They were going to do this, and that's when they were going to take the cruise, and that's when they were going to get the cabin up north, and that's when they were going to blah 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 blah. And all the people that came to me who had just retired and had a stroke or had a heart attack or, well, again, another stroke. All the people that did not live in the now, but everything was about the future. And I mean, that's really sad. There was a lot of that. And that really pushed, or no, not pushed, but that really was an example to me to get out of the future and get back into today and really live today. Don't save all your money for retirement because you might not ever get there. And, I've heard so many stories over the years of bringing it home that we have to live in the now. Yeah. So this is good, honey. This is good for us. And I know it's really hard. I know people are kind of bouncing off walls, but I also know a lot of people right now who are enjoying this. They're enjoying the lack of pressure. That's what's nice is the lack of pressure that we're all feeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was just had a business meeting with Janelle and Amy, and I was talking about how, because we've been in this for doing it so long, and that the people that I tend, there's some people that I don't want to work with, and some people I want to work with, and I want to work with the people who kind of are really now trusting their intuition more so and more that they're going within, they're going within, they're going within.
Yep.
Because just like you said, you had this one client that just is struggling to honor their intuition, and if not now,
Yeah.
I mean, holy
Exactly.
yeah,
I know.
if not now, when?
I know.
Yes, yes.
No, we don't have the excuse that I don't have enough time right now. We don't. That that
Mhm,
has been taken away from us. We got plenty of time right now. Yeah.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Oh, I know. You know, honey, even with the masks and intuition, I noticed the other day I went to the grocery store and uh, got out of the car, walked in the store, just was shopping, and just happened to look up and it's like, oh, that's right, my mask. I didn't put my mask on. Oh, oh, wonder if it's okay. And I heard, it's fine, you're fine. Okay. So then the next day I had to go to, I think it was Walgreens I had to go to, and my intuition, okay, I pull in the parking lot, turn the key off, and my intuition very loudly says, mask. And I went, okay, so I put the mask on. And then it was a couple days later, went to a different grocery store, got out of the car, walked in the grocery store. It's like, oh, God, I forgot my mask again. Asked my intuition, am I okay? Yep, you're fine. I mean, it's helping us with everything right now, you know,
Yes,
just everything.
yes, yes, yes. So everyone who's tuned in, turned on right now to this place that we're having this Zoom, and everybody else who will be listening to this later, um, right now are our guides and angels. I mean, I feel like they're just like really close to me all the time. The energy just feels really profound
Yeah,
at this time, kind of directing me like, look this way, look this way, look.
I agree. I agree. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So how can people trust that then a little bit more, that they're feeling what they're feeling and they're
Oh,
intuitive?
honey, it's hard. You know, it's hard, especially, um, you know, one thing that the guides have said to me lately is they've said, look, everybody, all of us on that side, all of us are trying to help you guys on your side, our side. And they said, we're trying to make it really obvious to people that we're there. Just like you said, you know, they're turning your head this way and that way. It's like, that's what they've been saying is we're really trying to get your attention so that you know you're not alone, so that we will help you um, understand things. But they said that their biggest frustration is that people just don't know that they're around. Or a lot of it is we think, well, that was a coincidence that that just happened. And we're not realizing that, oh, wait a minute, was that my guide that just said that to me? Was I just being guided to do that? And so the problem is because, you know, I feel bad for the spirits. I mean, just imagine you don't have an out loud voice. So, and you're trying to get helpful information to people living on Earth, but you don't have a voice. And so you're like, you're trying
Yeah.
to, might knock something off of a shelf or, oh God, you're trying to, oh, let's see. Oh, here, let's make this paper fly in front of her. They're trying, the little darlings are trying. They're trying and trying. And we are trying for them. Um, if we could stop thinking of things as, well, that was a coincidence. Oh, that was synchronicity, and start to realize, oh my, maybe the guides really are here. And something I want everybody here to pay attention to is um, when your guides are around, you will see little lights out of the corners of your eye that look like fireflies almost. And then when you go to look at it, it's not there. And this usually happens when we're watching TV or we're reading a book and um, uh, oh, we saw a tiny little light out of the corner of our eye. And then we look, and what has happened is that we've engaged our brain. So now we're trying to figure out what that was. That's how they appear to us is, okay, so intuition has this beautiful white light to it. And so all of our guides, all the loved ones on the other side, they all still have that light within them. That light is within our soul. And so when they come to us, that's how they, you know, it's like they can show their light. And And again, the problem is we see it, but then we think, oh, I must have made that up. Oh, I don't know. And then we just go right back to doing what we were doing. So it's our guides that are there, and they are trying to communicate with you right now. And you know, one thing my teacher taught me is when you feel like your guardian angel or your spirit guides have just given you a message or just come by to say hi, always thank them for coming and for helping you out. So even if you don't really, you can't see them and you can't sense them, but if something just gives you the sense that, yeah, I'm not alone here. I know I'm not alone. And I think somebody's been trying to get my attention. Just say, you know, thank you for visiting me. And Bertie, my teacher, she used to say, even if you're not um, feeling it, say thank you to them anyway. Just like, you know, like they say about manifesting. Thank thank the universe for bringing it to you before you've even realized it, before you've even asked sometimes. So just ask your guides, and you can tell your guides, you know what, I'd really like to have more conscious contact with you. What should I call you? You can ask them that. And usually over a 24 to 48 hour period, names will pop into your head. Just names, random names. And that is their names. Sometimes you'll get nothing because they don't care about names. They don't care what you call them. And just know that they're there and they want to be as helpful as possible. But one thing else I can tell you about your guides is that at night when we go to sleep, our souls come out of our bodies, and that's when our souls communicate with our guides. So there's a lot of communication taking place once our physical body is sleeping and our soul is free to come out of the body and communicate to the guides. And that's when a lot of communication happens. So you can write things down as soon as you wake up, and that'll be an indication of spirit guide conversation. I don't know. Just tell them that you'd like to have more conscious contact with them, and just pay attention. Just pay attention. But, you know, like my teacher also said, don't make yourself crazy thinking that, oh my gosh, Janice, you should have seen me in the beginning. I mean, if I saw something flicker, I was like, oh my God, they're here, they're here. And I would just, I was a wreck all the time in the beginning, okay, because I thought that everything was a sign that my spirit guides were there. And really, it's not like that. You don't have to get crazy about it, but they're there.
Do you see this as the prophesizing of the prophecies? Do you still believe that there are a lot of people that were meant to leave this planet at this time and are going to continue?
I do, honey. I do. It's a perfect way to. You won't believe this. I couldn't believe it myself. But the angel that works with me now, her name is Lily. And when this started over in Europe, it was in China. Somebody asked me, well, what does Lily think about this pandemic that's going on over there? And she just said, I mean, no emotion in it at all. She said, it's just thinning the herd, Echo. And I thought, oh my God, it just sounded so insensitive to say something like that. But it was like, no, these are souls that are meant to go. And she said, you know, somebody said on Facebook, I think, we need to pray for all the people that died. And Lily said, pray for them? Why? They're happy. They're home. They're happy. She said, if you need to be praying for anybody, it's all of you here on earth that are as fearful as you can possibly get, living in anxiety and depression every day. She said, no, 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 don't you worry about all those folks. They're doing fine. And I agree with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And is that a spiritual contract for those people who are leaving? Is that something that was written in their Akashic records?
Yes.
That spiritual
Yes.
contract? Okay.
Yeah, honey. Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
That's what I thought.
that's what I've come to believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So does anybody have a burning question before we say goodbye to Miss Echo that we haven't covered that you'd like to, Clea?
Clea.
You
What a
have
cool
to,
name. You have to unmute yourself, honey.
yeah.
What
No.
tip 3 was.
There we go.
Oh, what was 3?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? The first one was follow your intuition. The second was one day at a time. And the third one was, does anybody remember the third one? It was good. If you go to Blog Talk where I had heard, first one was,
What's number 3?
I can do that.
I thought they were all great because they weren't panned answers. You know what I mean? That everybody tends to give it like a panned answer. And I thought,
Yeah.
oh, it's so
I know.
practical, so wise, and so
know.
good.
I know.
If there's
Yes,
any
they were.
more information that would be good to know now, that would be awesome. I think those 2 are good. They fill me, but maybe
Yeah.
there's more that you're
Yeah, just to learn how to live, to learn how to live by our intuition, to live one day at a time.
Wasn't it to pay attention to our guides? Or not? Was that the third?
I don't know, Janice, that doesn't seem like the third one, although that's an excellent, yes, that's excellent. Thank you, Pam. Well, Clea, you got me. But I'll tell you all one thing.
maybe just pay attention.
Well,
Maybe.
I think also to follow your intuition. I mean, to
Oh, honey, I
not
know.
just pay attention to it, but then follow it.
I
Have
know
a
it.
follow through.
Yeah, yeah. Really follow it. In
Yeah.
spite of how crazy it might seem. I think I told you, I know we're running close to time, but this will be a good, cute story to end on. When I had a radio show on FM 107, it was on Saturday nights and it was called Intuitive Living. And people would call in and they would tell us intuition stories. Their intuition told them to do something that week and they followed it, and then they would tell us how well it turned out. And then we started hearing from people that said, well, my intuition told me to do this, but I said, well, I don't want to do that. Yeah, but. And so we formed what was called the Yeah, But Club. And so we would ask people to call in every week with their Yeah, But stories. And so this was about a week or 2 before Christmas. And it was the usual Saturday night, who's got a good story for us? And one lady called and she said, oh man, I'm so mad at myself. She said, I'm definitely in the Yeah But Club this week. And okay, tell us what happened. And she said, well, I was at Target and I was shopping for toys for my 3 little boys. And she said, and, oh God, Echo, come on. Oh yeah. And no. Oh, she walked by the Barbie dolls and her intuition told her to buy the Barbie doll. And there was just one there. And she said to her intuition, well, now why would I buy a Barbie doll? I have three boys. Buy it. No, I'm not going to buy it. Buy it. I'm not going to buy it. So she left and she said she got home and her sister called her and said that her little girl really wanted this Barbie doll for Christmas. And she said, I can't find it anywhere. If you happen to see it, will you please get it? She said, oh, God, I know right where it is. I'll go get it. So she drove over to Target and it was gone. And she said, I'm just so mad at myself. Okay. So then the next caller called and she says, well, I did listen to my intuition this week. I was in Target in the toy section, and she said, I too have little boys. And she said, but when I walked by this one Barbie doll, it told me to buy the Barbie. And she said, and I've learned not to question my intuition, so I bought the Barbie. And she said, so tell the lady that just called before that I'll meet her tomorrow at the station and give her the Barbie doll. Now,
I love it.
isn't that a great story to end on? I
That is
know.
a great
I
story.
know. I know.
That's a great story. It
Yeah.
is. Well, I know that your time is precious and you are busy and you're doing your own reflection and introspection of your own life. And so, as always, my friend, thank you for saying yes. Again, thank you for your
Welcome, honey.
years and years and years of dedication and service to help people awaken and to all the other teachers that you've taught. So,
Thank you, honey. Thank you. You're so
appreciate
sweet.
you a great
Thank you,
deal.
Janice Hope. You're so
Yes.
sweet, honey.
I love you.
I love you too, honey. I love you
Okay.
too. Bye, everybody. Thank you for today.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to this interview with Echo Bodine. We are so grateful that you're a part of our community. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone you know that would love it as well. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel by clicking the button below. And we hope to see you in the next video. Namaste.